Hi, welcome to a new video. So let's start off with our quote of the day. It's going to be Psalms chapter 19 verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Okay, so that's our quote of the day. And the topic today we're going to cover is passing parameters to functions. So let's get started. So in PowerShell, we could pass parameters to a function. So like it would be like input parameters. So you'll be creating like a parameter block, and then you define simple parameters. You could set default values if you want, and specify parameter types. And there are different ways to pass parameters to the function, such as using a position or by the name, or in other ways as well. So let's start off with a simple one. So let's create our simple process here. Function. So if you looked at the last video, we covered functions. And I'll just call it quote. So that's our function name, and then we'll open the block. So if you follow the last video, then this is how you put the block whatever you want to execute. But this will be a little different because now we're going to define some parameters. So you define a parameter block like this, and then this is where you would put the type and then what you want to be the input of this parameter. So this parameter we'll define as a string, and we just could call this book, and then another string, and then we'll call this one code chapter So we'll call this quote chapter and verse. Okay. Okay, and okay, then we put a comma after this. So these are our input parameters here. So let's complete our block. So what we want to do is write host and then we'll put book. Okay, so we wanted to output this. So let's define our variables. So remember, we gotta call the function. We're gonna call the function through the command below. So we'll put the function name, which will be quote. Right. So that's the function name, and then we could put the parameters. So the parameters book will show up right here. So you put a dash, and then it should come automatically. Then you put the value. So remember, the book will be Psalm. We'll just use today's quote information, and then the other parameter will be put a dash again, and it'll be this quote chapter and verse, and then we'll put 19:1. Okay, so this is how, so you define the function first, and then this is how we're going to call the function. We call it by the function name, and then if we want to insert the parameters, so we define the parameter for book, and this is the value we want to send in, and this one as well. So this is the output we should get when it calls the function. So let's try that out. And there you go. Say this is the quote of the day, Psalms chapter 19 verse 1. So that's how you could do it. You could also set a default value as well. And how do you do that? So you could set the default value. For example, you could set it above here. So let's say we call it Job, and let's say I didn't declare this variable, I only declared the second one. So let's see what happens. Oh, I forgot to comment this out, so let's do that so we mix it up again. There you go. So you see it took the default value of Job chapter 19 verse 1. Now if we define the book, it should override it, and then so that's only like if no values there. So let's try it out. There you go. So once you define the values, they'll be accepted here, and you can also set default values if a value was not defined. It will use the default value that you set here. So that's one way you could do it. And let's say you want to add another parameter. You can. You just keep adding to the list and just put another comma, and you could add another one there. So let's say you want to add the whole quote. Okay, so we define again the string, and then we can say quote sentence, all right, and then since we defined the parameter here, that becomes a parameter as well. There you go. So it should give us back our whole quote, and let's try that out. And there you go. This is the quote of the day, Psalm chapter 19 verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. So you can see how we use that in the function here. And if you wanted to get values from outside the function to work inside the function, then you could define your input parameters that you want to get in there. So there's one more. So what if you want to set, as you can see, like when we removed, like when we didn't define a parameter, it allowed the process, it allowed the function to work well. But what if we wanted you to have a mandatory value? See, I want that to be mandatory, right? So let's say I wanted book to be mandatory, but let's say I didn't define the book. It will still work. So let's try that out. Oops, I forgot to put the comma here, so that was my fault. Put the comma there. Let's try it again. Now you see the quote of the day, and so the book was pretty much optional, as well as these other parameters we said they're optional in a way. So let's set this as a mandatory parameter, the book. And how do you do that? You would set an actual parameter, and then we want to set this as a mandatory. Oops. Sorry about that. I think it kind of auto-corrected. So let's try this again. Okay, then we put mandatory, meaning it needs to be a required field, and then we set it to true, and then we close. Okay, so you can see, so this is how we define it here. You put it on top before the actual field that you want to show mandatory, so it'll be the book parameter. So this is how you define that there. And then the same will apply. You could put it above the quote if you wanted there, or you put it above this one. So let's try this one. Since we don't have the actual book parameter in there. So if you see, we didn't define the book parameter. So let's see what happens. And there you go. You see it says quote command pipeline position 1, supply value for the following parameter book. So it's prompting you to put the, so it's gonna prompt you that the book is required. So it's just telling me to put it now. So I'll put some, and then it accepted it there. So those parameters are required. So it's not gonna move ahead unless you define the parameter itself. So we can define book. Okay, and then we define Psalm. Okay, and then let's try it again. So it should just go straight, there you go. So it just defined everything. It defined the actual parameter. Since we defined it, it didn't prompt you for that message again. So that's how you do it, and that's how you kind of validate parameters. Okay, so that's all we have for today. There are some others that you could do or get help and see how you could do a little more advanced, do some more advanced ones. So let's review our quote of the day. So it's going to be Psalms chapter 19 verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The sky proclaim the work of his hands. Alright, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to read your Bible. And if you're not going to church, try to find a good Bible-based church. Okay? And thank you, and see you for the next video.